Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this tenon jig. It slides in and out to adjust your tenon size, up and down to cut the tenon, and this is going to be a two-part video. The first part gets to this stage where it is fully functional if you use regular clamps. The second part I'm going to add a cam clamp here, be built-in, adjustable, and on the back I'm going to add some stops so that it can act more like a quick-set tenon jig, but be a bit less complex than the only other one out there that I know of. Hope you enjoy. For this sled I've got a piece of Tasmanian blackwood for the runner and a bunch of these plywood offcuts from a previous project. These are 12mm BC grade plywood, so nothing fancy, and I'm going to cut them down to length and width for undercarriage, the main carriage that goes back and forth, the fence, and ultimately the supports that keep the fence true. For the back piece here that the tenon registers on, I may use plywood, I might just use some pine. Now I've got the top and the bottom carriage cut, I need to create the sliding dovetail for the top carriage. Now I'm going to attach the side rails to the base carriage. You can see that's how it's going to work. Now that these side rails are screwed in, you can see how this table is starting to take shape, and when that's in a miter slot, it'll be fairly easy to adjust out. There'll be a locking bolt. Now it needs a fence and some supports to keep that fence nice and square. On my fence piece I'm going to cut a shallow dado 12mm up from the end, which will accept the table. It's just going to be lining things up a bit easier. I've got two smaller offcuts from yet another project which I'm going to just quickly glue together to get a bit of thickness up, so I can use these for the cross brace, corner bracing for the fence to the undercarriage, top carriage. Found this bolt and knob as a spare part from my Tenon router table for different brand routers, so I'm going to use that as the locking mechanism for the sliding table. I've marked out the centre point, which I'll drill all the way through, the bolt will go through, and this will lock it down into place. I'm using a smaller bit to start off with to create a pilot hole, then I can use a larger one to counter bore for the bolt head. So that the bolt head doesn't turn around in the hole, I'm going to knock off the sides with a file and then drill two smaller holes, that way it won't be able to rotate on me. The top carriage so far only has one hole in it, whereas it needs to be a slot, so I've marked the centre point where the bolt will ride, and this will provide the back and forth motion for adjusting tenons. I'm going to try that again, this time using screws that don't go all the way through the plywood. You can see that this slides very freely in the miter slot. There's a little bit of play, that's mostly the runner is a little bit slack. These are ones I'd pre-cut quite some time ago, so I don't know whether the wood's moved or whether I just did a bad job or not. For this purpose, it's good enough, and you can see that the main carriage slides back and forth. Unfortunately, this is relatively soft plywood, so while I had good intentions with the bolt, unfortunately it does twist. If this ends up working quite well, I will just epoxy that in and won't have the issue of it turning as I'm trying to tighten the knob. I've taken the two laminated pieces of ply out of the clamps and just squared up the edges and drawn a line right down the centre of it. That'll form out two triangles for supports, and I'm just going to cut that on the bandsaw. This angle isn't critical, nor does it have to be all that smooth, because that's not actually being attached to anything. This side and this side are, so that's a handle for all intents and purposes. Believe it or not, these braces are a little bit too big when the fence is added, so I'm just going to mark them and cut them off. Using a square and the supports, I marked where the fence came to, as well as where the supports went to. Now I can pre-drill holes for those. With one brace now attached, I can put the fence on. Make sure it's nice and square. Oh, that's actually pretty good. And drill some pilot holes. I've got another offcut. I honestly can't remember what this one was from, but it's two pieces of this 12mm ply, I think. No, it's slightly thinner, but it is slightly thicker than the 12mm ply, and this will be a good rest for the tenon. So it's got two square surfaces to reference from. And here's a good spot to leave part one. Thanks for watching.